am reacting to your WrestleMania 40 Night 1 hot takes. This is a video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts about the world of professional wrestling. And today's episode is entirely focused on your thoughts about WrestleMania 40 Night 1. So if you want to be included in tomorrow's WrestleMania 40 Night 2 hot takes, make sure that you're following me on X. I'm gonna ask for your Night 2 hot takes as soon as the main event is over. And as you can see, we've got the fancy transitions, the nice subtitles, so that means that I've recaptured the editor. I hope that your one night of freedom was worth it, because now I'm taking away food and sunlight for an entire month. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. Let's read some stupid shit. By the way, I should clarify when I say that, that's just my transition that I've been using for the better part of like 9 months now. I don't think that what you say is stupid. I just wanna say that. But now let's read some stupid shit. Jay and Jimmy Uso had the worst match in WrestleMania this decade. I will give you that it was the worst match of the night and maybe ends up being the worst match of all of WrestleMania, but the worst match of the decade, it's a bit of a stretch. But yes, it wasn't a very good match. I do agree with you there. I personally didn't like that this didn't have a stipulation. I really felt that the narrative and the story leading into this match really warranted a street fight, no holds barred, tribal combat, something to make them fall out of their comfort zone of just super kicks and allow them to find new and inventive ways to hurt each other. But unfortunately, it just evolved into a super kick fest. We counted nearly 20 super kicks between the two in this match. Not only did I feel like the match was missing a stipulation, but I also felt like it needed a bit more storytelling, considering that was the driver of this feud in the first place. There was a little bit of storytelling with Jay holding back his kicks and not super kicking Jimmy in the face to put him away, with Jimmy begging for mercy, and then Jimmy, of course, turning around and super kicking him, and that really led to the finishing sequence of the match. But really, that's about it. I really felt like it needed something more, maybe something post-match or a little bit more in the middle of the match. It just sort of felt like a lazy super kick fest. So in my review, which is already up, I gave it a thumbs down. But the worst match of the decade, come on, dude. No, come on, we're stretching that definition of worst match there. Dominic got cheated once again. The deadbeat had to bring 2 NFL players to do his dirty work. Where in the world was WWE security? How are you just letting these 2 outsiders jump the barricade? Ooh, it's Jason Kelsey. He wore a Rey Mysterio mask one time when he was drunk celebrating his brother's Super Bowl. Nah, that is not a good enough reason to invade and assault a man, an American hero like Dominic Mysterio. Frankly, I also really didn't like their involvement because it also felt super forced. I like celebrity involvements at WrestleMania, but not when it feels forced like this. It just sort of felt like they were there for the sake of being there. There was no real reason for these 2 specifically to get involved in this heated feud between friends and family members. I would have been fine with them being in the show in some capacity, maybe even getting involved in a match here or there, but being involved in the direct finish of this feud, I feel was a bit of highway robbery for the fans. On top of that, WrestleMania has a worldwide audience. A good chunk of people didn't know who they were because they don't watch American football. And if they were going for the cheap Philadelphia pop by having 2 Philadelphia Eagles players, like read the room, WWE, most of the people in that stadium aren't from Philadelphia. They travel from all over the world to watch your show. So I just don't think that it landed very well. I'm not 100 on Sami winning. It didn't feel that special to me. And as a huge Gunther fan, it should be grander, but still, I'm a little excited to see who Sami's first feud will be, and super ecstatic to see Gunther win at #BashInBerlin. I want to start with the last bit that you said, because a lot of people are concerned about Gunther. Don't be, that man is going to the main event scene. If Vince McMahon was still around, I would be concerned that maybe Gunther was going to be turned into a dancing act like No Way Jose, or maybe he was going to become Santino Marella's dance partner or something. But this is Triple H, for God's sake. Triple H is going to take care of Gunther. Gunther elevated that Intercontinental Championship to heights that it's never been before. He is for sure going to be in the main event scene probably as early as Raw after WrestleMania. And I do think that this opens him up to be in the main event of Bash in Berlin, rightfully so, because Gunther was just absolutely incredible over the past 2 years as champion. When it comes to the Sami Zayn hype and the buildup for the actual match itself, I feel like it failed. I don't think that they did a very good job. However, Sami Zayn's entrance, where he's having a moment with his wife, with his son, where he asks his wife wife to please not bring their son to ringside because he doesn't want him to see this. We also had that moment as he's walking to the ring where he has the back and forth with Chad Gable, where Chad Gable tells him, you are ready, you are there, you don't need me beside you. And just before he goes through the curtains, Kevin Owens is there to hype him up. I feel like that entrance sequence in the back room, honestly, that was a better buildup for Sami Zayn than the entirety of the feud combined. I was very against Sami Zayn winning. I really thought that Gunther should have walked out with how poor the buildup was, but god damn it, the WWE did WWE things and made me care. In the entrance and halfway through the match, I was completely sold. I wanted Sami Zayn to win, and again, I'm just happy that Gunther can go to greener pastures, do bigger and better things. Sami Zayn got his moment, and now perhaps we can get Chad Gable getting a bit more involved in things outside of the Alpha Academy, perhaps with a feud with Sami Zayn here. Everyone, including myself, owes The Rock an apology. Don't need to explain why either. Dude, yeah, look, I was excited for The Rock returning. I wasn't happy about the fact that he took Cody Rhodes' spot, but a lot of people were just so harsh on The Rock, going as far as saying that this man gets gassed during promos. He can't even make it down to the ring without looking gassed. And then he showed up looking like $1 million and made us all care about every single little thing that he did in the build-up to WrestleMania, changing his character, giving the people what they wanted, really being the people's champion, even as a heel, because he gave us everything that we were clamoring for. And then in this main event, he was absolutely phenomenal. You think he was going to be gassed within 5 minutes? Nah, he went 40 plus minutes in this match, with a good chunk of it him being the main center focal point. This man has taken spears. This man has taken finishers. This man took a rock bottom, his own finisher, through a table. The Rock did it all. Rock, you're amazing, and I don't know why everyone doubted you, and everyone absolutely needs to get down on their knees and beg for the forgiveness of the final boss. Yo, do you want even more wrestling content? Because there's some more wrestling content over on patreon.com/SantiZap. That's where I upload the Raw and SmackDown reviews. So if you're looking for the Raw after WrestleMania review, it's going to be over there. But you're also going to get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier than everyone else, as well as some extra bonuses and goodies. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. It'll be the top link in the description, or it'll be the link in the pinned comment. We're almost at 800 patrons, so thank you so much for the support. Back to the video. Roman Reigns worked so hard tonight to make his cousin look good that he literally transformed into Maui. Dude, I'm glad that you sent this picture in, because the first thing I said, I was like, yo, I think we need to get Roman Reigns in a Head & Shoulders commercial, because this man's hair is absolutely luscious. Aside from the hair as well, did you guys notice in how great a shape Roman Reigns looked in this match? He looked so much leaner. He dropped at least like 5% of body fat, in at least in what my own eyes that doesn't really understand that world. He just looks so much better. He had very visible abs. His shoulders were popping. Look, Roman Reigns just looked like $1 million. He truly looked like the final, like the not the final boss, he's not the final boss. He looked like the tribal chief here. The Prime bottle wasn't as big of a distraction as I originally thought. I tried to tell y'all. Like, I don't know what people thought this was going to be. I think people thought that this was going to be like a Tupac hologram of Prime revolving around the ring and blocking your view. Like, dude, if you just watch UFC or literally any other sport, half the time, more than half the time, you don't even realize that there's sponsors all over the place. The WWE also did this very tastefully, with it being like a see-through Prime logo as opposed to like the really colorful Prime logo that we originally saw. It was really tasteful. It was barely noticeable, and it did not take away from anything. Now, I didn't think it was ever going to take away from anything, but at the very least, now we're all in agreement that this isn't a big deal. After last night, I think it showed that the Usos in the ring are better together than alone. It looked to me like neither of them are 100% confident in their in-ring skills in solo competition. Too many damn super kicks. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Yes, I'm with you. Too many super kicks. And it did feel like they were devolving in terms of their moveset back to their tag team days in a solo ecosystem. And that just really didn't land. It really needed more, like I said, a stipulation to force them out of their comfort zone to do other things aside from super kicks. But I don't want to jump the gun and say that they're better together than by themselves. You got to remember, dude, they were together for like 20 years of their professional wrestling career, and they've been together for 35 plus years of their life as twins. So it's gonna take a little bit of time for these guys to develop as single stars. They've been singles for less than a year at this this point. Let's give them time to really develop before we start really swinging down the axe and trying to end their solo careers. After that day one tag team main event, who else is ready to see both the Bloodline and Cody's story end with Judgment Day's Damian Priest cashing in on the biggest stage of them all? I am going into night 2 convinced that Damian Priest has to cash in on Seth Rollins or make this into a triple threat or cash in on Drew McIntyre. He has to cash in. He absolutely must. We have a Seth Rollins that is beaten and battered, who spent 45 minutes in a match with The Rock and Roman Reigns. His knee is busted. His back is blown out. But we still, nowhere to be seen is Damian Priest. We need Damian Priest here. My dog is going crazy because he also believes that Damian Priest should be cashing in. The Rhea Ripley versus Becky match was underwhelming, but I guess it's okay because they kept making it clear that Becky has a 102-degree fever. Abhishek, I think we watch a different match. I really liked that match. I thought that it was one of the better matches of the night from a technical standpoint and from the offense that both of the women were getting, the grandiose entrances that they both got. I thought that it was a really, really good match. I didn't think it was as good as Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte at last year's WrestleMania, but I thought it was in its own right a very, very good match at WrestleMania. On top of that, you do add the fact that this is a Becky Lynch that was, who knows what percentage of her was there physically and mentally, dealing with a 102-degree fever with strep throat, they mentioned as well, is no joke. Like, that is a really, really debilitating fever to have. So shout out to Becky Lynch for doing what she did, going out there with a fever, with strep throat, in the basically the middle of the winter in a cold-ass Philadelphia night. Why are we doing WrestleManias in the Northeast when it's still freaking cold? WWE, come on, what are we doing? This was Becky Lynch's Michael Jordan flu game. I think that she was fantastic regardless of the situation. If you didn't tell me that she had a fever of 102 degrees, I still would have thought that this was a great match. This Rock is 10 times better than Rock versus Cena. I think this is an easy statement to make if we're talking about the in-ring stuff because, well, I mean, with Rock versus Cena, The Rock had to carry 50% of the match, and Cena isn't particularly the greatest worker either to help carry people through a match. So we didn't really have lightning in the ring, especially the second time around. But this time around, he was only 25% of the participants, which allowed The Rock to really save his stamina for some really awesome moments. But yeah, when it comes to character, this Rock, dude, I think you're undershooting it with 10 times better. I feel like this Rock is 1 gazillion times better than the Rock that we had 10 years ago in Once in a Lifetime and Twice in a Lifetime. I think that this Rock has been so amazing. His reinvention of his entire character, his reinvention of his personality, just about everything that he's done to make us care about WrestleMania has just been magical. I got this picture of Chef Triple H that I really liked because they made it clear that this is the Triple H era. That's what they've been calling it, what the announcers have been calling it, what the wider WWE universe is now starting to call it. And they really made it clear that this was the start of a new era by Triple H going out there, starting the show, telling everyone that it was a new era. And yeah, man, like Triple H cooked it with his storytelling, with his booking decisions for the most part at WrestleMania. Just imagine if this is like their true acknowledgement that Triple H has full control over everything, that he is trying to start something from the ground up brand new. Dude, we might be in line for the greatest year of professional wrestling ever. For as great as all of the Mania matches were, the NXT North American title match in the Stand and Deliver show might have been the best match on Saturday. Dude, it wasn't the best match on Saturday. It was the best match that I've seen in the last 12 months. It was absolutely incredible. I cannot foresee a match passing this in my match of the year rankings when we do them at the end of 2024. That triple threat match was absolutely astonishing. If you haven't watched it, you need to go watch it or go listen to my review that's already up on YouTube. I agree with you. Look, I don't see how any match this weekend can top that from in-ring perspective. Jade Cargill only doing about 4 moves made it underwhelming for her performance. Her aura was incredible, but she didn't really do much. Ollie, it was an 8-minute match with 6 women in it. You do the math, that is 1:30 per woman to be able to do anything. You don't have a lot of time to really showcase Jade Cargill, so 4 moves is about as much as you're gonna get when you only have about a minute to really showcase yourself. But yeah, this is all by design because when you have that many women in the ring, it allows Jade Cargill to not have to carry anything, to not overexpose herself and still sit back and learn from people that have been doing it for much longer than she has. But you mentioned aura, you can't teach that. Oh my God, I accidentally pulled an Enzo. You can't teach that. The Rock proved that he's still dedicated to all of this. Him taking the time to work with Gallus truly showed in how he was able to go tonight. Like I said, 40 plus minutes, and a lot of people thought that he was going to be gassed in 5. The Rock came out in maybe the greatest shape of his life. The man was a lean muscle machine. And what's funny is that the commentators kept going back and forth about the conversation about The Rock's physique. There's a hot take about the commentary work that I'm going to talk about in just a second. But it's cool to see the commentators having almost like real life conversations about what they're seeing on screen, as opposed to being fed lines by Vince McMahon in their ears. But yeah, The Rock looked absolutely amazing tonight, both physically. His aura is still, of course, fully there. That WrestleMania entrance was phenomenal. But then, of course, I think he was a really great performer, both as an offensive beast, but also like his selling and taking of moves. I think that all around, he was really, really impressive. Rikishi should have been involved in the Jimmy versus Jay somehow, either by being a ref, being ringside, or being commentary. I wouldn't have wanted him in commentary. I wouldn't have wanted him as a ref either. I feel like, Rikishi's probably too big to be lumbering around to be trying to catch up to these guys to get proper 3 counts and whatnot. But I don't mind the idea of him being at ringside, almost like a tribal elder, watching his 2 sons do combat. That would have been neat, I guess. And that would have added to the story elements that I felt like this match was needing. And I feel like Rikishi, as an addition, could have helped elevate the narrative that I felt was poor during the match. I've traveled over from the UK, and I was there last night, and I'm going to be there tonight. I have to say, I don't see the hype around Philadelphia crowds. Yes, it was cold. Yes, it was outside, but we made more noise in London for Money in the Bank last year with 50K fewer people. Yeah, look, I don't think that this crowd was very good. There's going to be the apologist of it's an open roof stadium, but we've heard rowdier, better crowds with open roof stadiums. We don't have to look too much further back than looking back at the crowd in Australia and Perth for Elimination Chamber. For that show, I could tell they were rowdy, but yeah, the acoustics weren't there to make it feel like it was a super thunderous arena. But here, like, dude, the crowd was sitting down. We were barely doing the Jey Uso thing when normally he has an entire arena under the palm of his hand doing all of it. It just felt like they were out of it. So I am very curious about your overall thoughts as a UK fan, seeing Philadelphia, and with Philadelphia having this history as being such a rowdy crowd, because they weren't that last night. I feel like we will get a super rowdy crowd for Raw after Mania when it's indoors and it's a super hot, like hardcore crowd of professional wrestling fans, but this WrestleMania crowd hasn't been it so far. And yes, Money in the Bank was amazing, but again, that was in a closed arena, so let's at the very least keep that in mind when we're comparing things. But you mentioned the UK, it makes me wonder, when are we going to get a WrestleMania outside of the United States where we can get an international crowd that's going to make an insane amount of noise? I was really surprised that Solo didn't interrupt the night 1 main event. Dude, you know what's hilarious? Because it was so cold, there were so many people in hoodies with their hoodies up that I thought everyone was Solo Sikoa. It was like a game of Where's Waldo. The night 1 main event was a tale of 2 halves, 21st really slow minutes and 20 last fire minutes. But that's Roman Reigns matches in general. This was longer than the average Roman Reigns match. They usually go for 25, maybe 30 minutes, but it's the same narrative every single time, where the first half, it's a lot of grounded offense, a lot of trash talking, a lot of slow, gradual buildup until we get to that second half where things just absolutely get bananas. My stream was saying that this match was terrible, that I can't believe this is main eventing, that this is already one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. And they were saying this like 6 minutes in, when folks, it shouldn't be new to you that this is how bloodline matches work. There will always be a gradual buildup to some holy shit fuckery, and that's what we got in this match. And you just, folks, need to let them cook. Keep an eye out for all of the, quote, fan-like banter between the commentary team, and then bringing up real-life WWE Universe conversations and debates. Feels like another potential addition to the new era. That's what I was talking about. I absolutely noticed this, and it was so cool. I especially noticed this during the Bloodline match and during The Rock's entrance, when Michael Cole said something along the lines of, "The Rock is looking really good," to which Corey Graves and Pat McAfee were like, "What do you mean? Why are you shocked? It's the final boss. Of course he's looking good," only for those two to like 10 minutes later to turn around and say, "Wow, The Rock looks really good," for then Michael Cole to be like, "What the hell? You guys berated me 10 minutes ago for saying the exact same thing." I love the back and forth with Michael Cole saying, "Look, the nostalgia is real for The Rock." Of course, Pat McAfee and Corey Graves jumping in. "I'm sorry, Cole, do you think that the final boss is a nostalgia act? How dare you?" Look, I love the banter. I love that, like you said, they're bringing more real life conversation animations into their commentary, it just makes it feel more real and more relatable, as opposed to just like the robotic commentary that we've been used to in the late 2010s and early 2020s when Vince McMahon was leading things. Is this going to be part of the new era? It very well could be, and I think it's going to add a lot. R-Truth having a hot tag and going for the pin at the ladder match was the biggest pop of the night. Before I talk about that, dude, that ladder match was incredible. One of the best ladder matches that I've seen in recent memory, and who's surprised really? Like, WrestleMania ladder matches always do this. They're always insane car wrecks. You don't really need to know the narrative and the story. I thought that it was fantastic. So many insane spots, and I think everyone that won was the correct winner. A-Town Down Under, I feel like they deserve the championships, and I'm glad they're going to take it over to SmackDown and maybe create a gold draped faction with Logan Paul, and then Team Miz and R-Truth, Team Awesome Truth, really deserved their WrestleMania moment finally. So I'm glad that both teams won. But yeah, dude, the highlight of this was R-Truth getting the hot tag. That was absolutely brilliant. R-Truth shenanigans and slapstick and comedy will always work for me. That's, I don't know, that's just my type and brand of humor. I don't know how you can't like this. I feel like you have to be some sort of Ebenezer Scrooge to not like R-Truth antics. All right, folks, thank you so much for submitting your night 1 hot takes. I'm waiting for your night 2 hot takes. So again, make sure that you're following me on X, but I'm done. Get out of here.